Hello everyone, here I am at my town allotment a week after I last recorded anything from here, and that was when I was in the car in the pouring rain and locked out of the allotment. I have actually recorded other videos since then, but I've had complete disasters with my phone, with the microphones, and just ended up with nothing. I desperately need to get myself a new camera, but I'm saving up for one, so watch this space in a few months' time. In the meantime, I'm going to have to soldier on, not solder, that's something else, soldier on with my phone camera, and hope you'll all bear with me. So, where to start? I'm going to give you, because it's been such a long time since we were here, I'm going to give you a tour of the 3 different plots I'm working here. I sort of stopped to hesitate then, because actually it's kind of 3.5 with my potato plot. But I'm going to give you a quick run through while the camera is still working. I think it's working now, so fingers crossed. I've had a very busy week, and if I can keep the camera working long enough, I will show you a bit about why. And the why is I was taking part in our local village show with some of my produce and some of the things I'd made, and I had quite a good time. And as I say, if there's time and if the camera's still working and I can sort it out, I'll give you a quick run through of how I did. But for now, let's have a little plot tour. So starting at the top of my main plot, near the shed, near the top there, this is the bed that all my onions were in, and the onions have now all been picked. I'm not sure where I'd got to with you last time, to be honest, but I've picked all the onions. I'm going to show you them storing wonderfully in my shed. But this bed is now host to celery, celeriac, a couple of kale plants, a cosmos plant, my now withering Cabbages, that's now past it for this year anyway, and 2 squash plants, and one of them, as you can see, has got a lovely kind of round, rather large courgette, and the other one is going to be quite delightful. There's some little patty pan courgettes there growing nicely. I do love patty pans. Okay, which way are we going to do this? I'm going to take you either side each way. Now this bed, that was my magnificent tower of sweet peas there, and until I went away on holiday, it was absolutely blooming. Of course, all things come to an end, and it's now gone over, which is really quite sad, really, because if they'd lasted out a little bit longer, and if I'd perhaps had time to pick them off and encourage them to grow instead of being on holiday, I would have been able to enter some lovely sweet peas to the village competition. But never mind, I had absolute pleasure from them. And then here I've got, these are some quinoa plants growing here, a bit of an experiment. You may, if you're very astute, remember that I was trying to grow beans here. Actually, they're finally coming to life in and amongst, can you see, hang on, let me get the camera onto it, where are they? There we go. Yeah, in and amongst the cosmos. They're climbing at last. Well done, beans. And then I love leaving things in place, seed heads, because they're so beautiful. So that was a big self-seeded poppy, but look at how beautiful the seed heads look. And then at the back, oh, this is lovely. So these are, look at the flowers on that. That's cerinthe, or known as honeydew. Just a flower. Oh, and there's some thistles. Well, they're not doing anybody any harm, so I will probably pick them at some point, but not now. And then my parsnips, with lots of grass amongst them. My parsnips are doing really well. So there's a row of parsnips touching there. Okay, let's go over to this bed now. And my really spindly, weedy little sunflowers. Look at them, beautiful. All lovely red, deep red yellow colours, absolutely lovely. And then when I got back from holiday, I had a lot of little mini munch cucumbers. They look like normal cucumbers, they're just shorter, and I had lots to harvest. I don't think I've got any to harvest at the moment, but I've also got, let's see if I can just get, I'm pushing you through the net now. If you see there, that's a little, what's it called? Dragon egg cucumber. So it's just about ready, that one actually, a little bit longer to grow. And they're just a very pale, short, chunky cucumber. But they're nice and a bit more flavoursome actually. So I've had some of those as well. Sneaking through there, I've got some calendula flowers that I'd forgotten all about, and they're growing nicely there too. Oh, and that's a pak choi that's actually gone to seed, and I'd completely forgotten all about that. I'm very good at forgetting about things, as you might have gathered by now. And then at the edge of this bed, there's a load of leeks, and they're growing very nicely, and they should be ready for Christmas. Let's turn back over to this one. So last time you saw this bed, which does, my familiar refrain, need a good weed. It's the grass here. It's the couch grass is an absolute nightmare. It just comes up all the time. But I'd left this bed under some fleece and lifted it off, and look what we've got, some lovely new salads growing. So nice lettuces there, some spinach behind them, and then we've got some chicory behind those, and a pak choi looking absolutely nibbled by flea beetles, I think they are. Never mind. And then everything else kind of gave up the ghost really. There's nothing else much happening there. So I'm going to go over that bed at some point, clear it out again, that half of the bed. And I've got some seedlings in the greenhouse ready to take to. So just filling gaps all over the plot. I think that's the story now. Oh, just a loud motorbike. No, it's a tractor. Sorry, a very old tractor going past at the top there. Okay. And here we've got the pumpkins. They're growing very, very well. And in fact, we've got little pumpkin here. My squashes are growing there, little baby pumpkins. But as in terms of going anywhere up the arch, they haven't got the memo. So I'm going to try and tie them to the arch and see. Well, I sound very cruel there, don't you? Tie them to the arch and force them to grow. There's another few little baby pumpkins growing there. I hadn't quite envisaged they'd be ready at this time of year, but they're racing ahead. And then, disappointingly missed from this video, because I thought I'd captured it in the last one, the little beans that I'd planted underneath here, little dwarf beans. They've got a few on them now, but when I suddenly was looking and I spotted some beans, and they're this beautiful, let me see if I can show you. Ignore the withered leaves, nibbled leaves. This beautiful sort of almost translucent pink colour. So I've had some of those, and there's just a few left, so those are pretty much gone over. And then I just want to take a moment to admire the beautiful allium flowers, which are in fact my leek heads. So that's what leeks look like when they go to seed. Well, to flower first and then they'll go to seed. But they've given some lovely height and structure to the plot, and I love them. So I'm really glad I did, as has that towering poppy that I deliberately left in my carrot bed. I'm still moving on to the next bed down here, I'm still getting lots of carrots from this bed. I mean, many of them are very tiny, and others of them, oh, there's a nice, I'm just going to pick you one there, and there's a wiggly worm next to it. Are you having my carrots, wiggly worm? Yeah, so that's the sort of size of carrot we're getting. Not massive, but perfectly edible and nice. So these are Amsterdam early carrots. And yeah, had a lot out, but there's still quite a lot in there, and certainly lots of baby carrots and some medium size like this. And then next to the carrots is my other bed of leeks, which I really need to give a good weeding to. It's full of dandelions at the moment. If you can imagine, when I came back from holiday after 2 weeks, it was an absolute jungle, so it's not as bad as it was, believe me. Oh, I've leaked down a bed with skipping my lovely brassica bed, which I've got here, and this was an absolute triumph. I will try and insert a picture. So we've got here growing Brussels sprouts, And you can possibly see the little sprouts forming there in the leaves, in between the leaves, and there. And then next to the Brussels sprouts, I've got, see if I can get, no, I don't really want to get under. Let's just see if I can get it to focus. No. Anyway, believe me, take my word for it. There's a Savoy cabbage there next to a red cabbage. There is some kale at the back there. And there is another Savoy and there's another red cabbage. Anyway, you get the picture. And what I was so thrilled about was the other day when I was getting ready for the village fair, I found that one of the Savoys was ready to pick. I mean, it was absolutely splendid. In fact, I could have entered it into a cabbage competition alone, but I don't think there was one, or anyway, you'd had to fill the form in by then. But this is a little one. Which is already quite big, but it was splendid, and I'll show you it in the truck in a bit. So that was a lovely surprise. So that bed of brassicas is doing really, really well. And then my second best brassicas. My second best brassicas are these, except these are cabbages, and I really am not having plain cabbages. I don't tend to look at the one forming there, and I touch it. I could get a head of cabbage there, could be lucky. Oh, there's one little sad little purple cauliflower left there. They didn't do as well this year as they did last year. So that's just some cabbage left in there, as well as some smaller plants which I put in to fill the gaps, which are doing very little. In fact, the weeds are beating them hands down. Okie dokie. This bed I sowed before I'd cleared it, just before I went away. It was lovely and clear. Haven't had a chance to clear it since. The grass just comes up like topsy. But I'd sown some radishes. Oh, look, lovely little radishes. So they've come up nicely. Yeah, I'll take them home actually tonight. Need the rest to grow a bit bigger. Well, in fact, probably munch them as a snack. Oh, that's a nice one, isn't it? Look at the size of that one. But nibbled, but never mind. Yeah, so radishes. I had also put in something else. I think it was beetroot. Well, it was something, whatever it was, it hasn't come up. And then there's my third, rather sickly looking set of brassicas, which are quite sweet, but really not making much of an effort. Got some broccoli. First broccoli I've had this year that looks, I mean, that you can't probably get the scale of it. It is certainly not big, but it's edible. I might take that one home, pick that and take that home in a bit. So that's my second and third brassicas. I hasten to show you this plot because it really is so full of weeds. In fact, I'm now going to set myself the task. This is my key task. Clear out this bed of weeds, because I've been meaning to do so for ages and it's embarrassing. But this is the asparagus bed. And the asparagus is looking quite healthy. Yeah, so at least it took, but it's got a lot of weeds to fight with. And then here, these rather statuesque creatures are my lettuces, which were beautiful and amazing. And I tried to give them away, and some people did have them. And I really didn't get to eat them because they were just at their best just before I went on holiday. And there's only so many pieces of lettuce you can take on holiday with you. So sadly, I've lost out with them, and they were magnificent because the leaves are too bitter now. But never mind. And then here is my rather lopsided, beautiful flower bed, which I just need to get a bit tidying and perhaps just deadhead those lupins eventually. I do like to let them go to seed in case we get even more lupins next year, but we probably in reality don't need even more lupins. So I'm going to deadhead those down. And I'm going to go round, I can go around this way to show you the beautiful other things that are happening in this bed before I go to show you the beautiful other things which are happening in the other bed. So yeah, lovely dahlias. And in fact, I won't be spoiling any secrets to say that one of those dahlias, in slightly better condition than that one, won me a prize yesterday. So really pleased with that. These are looking a little bit past it, but this is a lovely rose that I planted, a David Austin rose. Thought I'd killed it by leaving half of the root in the pot when I pulled it out of the pot to plant it, but it seems Seems to be doing very well, and it smells absolutely amazing. Beautiful. And then I didn't think they'd ever come up, but my hollyhocks, my lovely purple hollyhocks have come up, and oh gosh, the name has now gone, but this sort of blue thistle-like iridium, is it? I don't know, I'll have to look it up. Anyway, that's come up as well. That stock in between, actually, it still leaves quite a nice contrast, doesn't it, that orangey dock? But yeah, that's beautiful. Really pleased with that. And the salvia is kind of working its way to the end of its flowering, but it's been absolutely lovely. Another one of those dahlias there. I think I must have planted two of the same by accident. Oh look, little busy bee. Hello, Mr. Bee. How lovely. Okay, and then here, coming over across the path again, there's lots more flowers. So I've decided I love flowers so much that I'm going to have two flower beds. And I think I might have shown you before about planting some dahlias here. I put marigolds in between. And in between those, we've had some self-seeding mizuna. These are spicy salad leaves, which are very nice. Well, not quite what I wanted here, but I think I will leave them here anyway because they provide cover and they are quite tasty. But yes, so excited with so many of my... Look at this one. And at that point, the microphone cut out from my recording. So, and the whole of the rest of the video, which I'd already recorded before, then is without sound. So I'll just talk you through there. So as well as some other dahlias that we've got here, I had some sunflowers that I'd popped in. They were on their last legs, I thought, when I put them out, but nevertheless they're coming on nicely. And then alongside them all, you'll see I've got quite a few pot plants, and those are my holiday purchases. While I was away on our family holiday for a fortnight, I did go to a few garden centres with my auntie and on my own, and picked up a number of pot plants. That one I've just been looking at there is, it's forgotten the name and I did know it, but it's something about the devil's trumpet. No, I'll put the note in the comments. There's another dahlia there. That particular flower's a little bit past it, but that's one I picked up at a bargain price. A couple of asters, and then my triumph is this amazing purple sedum, which is a dark canyon variety, and it's going to have really sort of purpley pink flowers on it. And I'm just not sure whether to plant it at, they're all still in pots, whether to plant it at the allotment or to take it home again. I can't decide. And there's some other, that was my little freebie 99p plant that I got there. Yes, there we go, 99p. Not even sure what the name is. It didn't have a name on it, but it's pretty. And then you'll see, another aster, I think there. I'm not sure if there's any other plants there, but that's another one that I purchased there. You can see some of those African marigolds tucked in amongst the dahlias, the mizuna, and let's be frank, the weeds. So yeah, really happy with all of the flowers that I've got coming at the moment. Those that are already coming into bloom, those that are about to come into bloom, and those the peas. The peas have gone past it. The artichokes, I did have a lovely head on that, but I took it, I cut it and took it to the flower show that I went to. And then I'll take you now over to my new plot. No, I won't. I'm going to show you the beetroot first. Oh dear, it would have helped to remind myself what I was showing here, wouldn't it? So yeah, on my peas, I've still got some sugar snaps coming through. Most of my peas are well over, but there are a few still coming through. And then my beetroot, which I kind of thought it wasn't doing anything, but it really is starting to produce some roots now, and I've already had a couple of jars of
pickled beetroot from them. So yeah, there's some hope in the beetroot next. Now we're going to walk over to the new plot. And the first thing you might notice here is that I've been busy with wood chip, and much to my delight, we had for the first time ever, I think, some wood chip delivered by the council or on behalf of the council to the allotment sites. And I'd been asking about this with our ranger a few weeks before I went away on holiday, and he'd said that they didn't think he could get some wood chip because actually most of the council's work with trees is contracted out. But yeah, somehow he's managed to get hold of some, which I was really grateful for. And at first I thought it was going to arrive, well, it was supposed to arrive while I was still on holiday. But then to my deep delight, it actually arrived at my first day back from holiday while I was on the site. So I was able to go and get a good few barrow loads. It's now completely gone. And I've only managed to do the paths for half of the site, but that's fair. I mean, I've probably had more than my own fair share of it. I put it mostly on top of not compost, cardboard, but already there seem to be a few weeds growing through. So looking at what's growing in the plot, my lovely cosmos been doing really well there. And then in that plot we've got my pattypan courgette. I've already had a few pattypan courgettes off that, and that's really doing well, looking really healthy. The beans that I've got growing in that plot, I actually can't even remember what sort they are. French beans, I think. They're just about getting going up the canes, and behind them I've got some celeriac and golden blanched celery, and then in the hooped bed there I've got some brassicas that I only put in a week or so before I went on holiday. Oh, yeah, that's me pointing out the buttercup, the creeping buttercup that's grown in a matter of 2 days through that wood chip. I think that might have been actually where the wood chip landed and didn't have cardboard under that particular bit, but yeah. So the Cavolo Nero seems to be doing really well there, that kale, as do the red cabbages on that side. But the disappointing thing is that even they're so young, but those broccoli that I put in, and I really haven't had any broccoli properly very much from my allotments at all, but that's gone to seed. Must have been in the hot weather while we were away. My rather Sputnik-like bean poles there, they collapsed so many times from being in a wigwam on the left there. I just decided to let them stand as a Sputnik, as I think the beans can grow up them that way, as well as up a wigwam. The second lot of brassicas in that hooped area there, they're also showing the same signs of the broccoli having bolted, but everything else doing rather well, and it's actually done. Yeah, you can see the white flowers there where I was pointing, although those ones seem to be doing slightly better overall. I think the netting's a bit thicker. Now, these are my pepper plants, which I really didn't think would do very well. I mean, in North Wales, pepper plants outside are a bit of a gamble, and these were absolutely last legs, leftovers, and yet, as you might be able to just about see, that there's actually some peppers growing on those little plants already, and that's couched grass that you can see coming up in between them, and I've already taken that out twice. But yeah, so we might get some more peppers out of that little pepper patch. And I think that's about it that's growing on that allotment plot. So far, it is still very early days. I as you may well know, I've only just got it in June, or even was it even big? No, it was June. Yeah. So I'm really pleased to have things growing in there already. And then I think I was about to head up to, the next allotment plot, which is the one I call the plastic plot that I've got growing through plastic. It's not my own plot, it's one I've been loaned the use of by a friend of mine who has got too many allotment plots, basically. And this first here at the end here is that beautiful wildflower meadow with all of those different coloured cornflowers and other flowers as well. I'm absolutely loving that, and it's just done beautifully. I did go and harvest some of the cornflowers very early in the morning of the flower show to put into a large floral display. And there are just so many of them, and they're absolutely beautiful. So yeah, that's something that makes me very happy indeed. In fact, I had some of the little daughters of one of my other allotment friends came over, and she was picking just bunches of flowers for her mum and her sister, and they're absolutely beautiful. Look at all those different shades of cornflower. There aren't just cornflower in there, but because I topped up the wildflower mix with cornflower seeds, a couple of packets, it's predominantly them. And then looking over to my big squash patch, you'll see there I've got a couple of rather enormous pumpkins. Actually, I filmed this a couple of days ago, and I was up at the plot this afternoon, and they're even bigger. So I think those are reselection giant pumpkins, but I'm not entirely sure because everything's just getting rather muddled over at this plot. Yeah, that's a courgette. I can't remember the name of that one. Cocoselle, I think it was. And those are my yellow courgettes. You see those leaves looking very vibrant there, but some of the other leaves are looking a little bit ropey. So I've been pulling some of them off. Earlier today, I just pulled rather too many off. Oh, there's one of those other little, like a sort of bishop's crown, is it? Type of pumpkin? Oh no, not that one. That's, I think, a polar bear pumpkin. But that green one next to it, yeah, it's some sort of, I think it's called a bishop's crown. Not sure, but it's so exciting. This plot, actually, there's just so many different. It's exactly what I wanted. I'd been wanting for ages to have a big plot of squashes and pumpkins. That there is just a little plant that I put in just before I went away from holiday to fill in one of the holes, and because I had a spare plant in my greenhouse. So that's what's going on there. And yeah, it is starting to spread now, which I'm really pleased about over the rest of that plot. There are just, oh look, that's the Tromboncino courgettes there that I've got growing. There's about half a dozen of them now. Oh, and yet I think that's either a Queensland blue or a Crown Prince tucked underneath there. So each of those will go a lovely blue colour. Those are like winter squashes that I'll be able to keep over the winter. And then further up the plot, yeah, right at the top, I've got some cheeky curry, and they are pretty much ready. In fact, I've had 2 or 3 off there already. Picked another 2 today, and there's still more growing. There would have been even more, but I actually managed to, and trying to pull off some of what I thought might be powdery mildew on some of the leaves, which I think is probably, I pulled off too much. Now, then the rest of the plot consists of my sweet corn, which is going absolutely bonkers. It's doing so well. I'm really excited about how many corn on the cobs I'm going to be getting. And then my beans just beyond that. And to the right of my sweet corn, you can see my tomato jungle, which looks and is in need of a complete and utter trimming and pruning, but which I have found too difficult to do. So I did set myself the task of then going and weeding my asparagus bed, and this is the result afterwards, where you can see it's looking a lot better, not perfect, but a lot better. And I was only then wondering about how unevenly spaced all of those asparagus plants now look, and I was thinking that it's actually probably the line across that I've put there. There's a couple that I think are the ones that came from the crowns, but possibly the rest of them are those which came from seed. So yeah, they seem to have done a lot better. And so that brings me to the end of the video. I think I will do another one to tell you a bit more about the flower show that I was in. But for now, thank you ever so much for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe. See you soon.